Tonight on First Tuesday.
There was a knock on the door and there was a boy there and he goes, "Your brother's had an accident."
But the accident was murder and the killer's friend was there.
I really didn't think he'd shoot at anybody. Afterwards I thought, oh, it might just bruise him. But at the time I didn't really think about it.
A senseless killing in an English mill town. Good evening. If you've never heard of the murder at the heart of tonight's film, you can be forgiven. Outside the community where it happened, it hardly caused a ripple, scarcely rated a mention in any of the national newspapers. That's partly why we've devoted tonight's film to it. The apparently random killing of a 14-year-old schoolboy in broad daylight and virtually on his own doorstep seemed to us to demand more explanation. Why did the short life of Tahir Akram, born in Pakistan, end so abruptly with murder in Glodwick?
Northeast Pakistan and the grave of an English schoolboy. Born January the 10th, 1975, died July the 26th, 1989, aged 14. This flower's loveliness did not last long, the gravestone reads. It bloomed, but its smile was short-lived. District of Pakistan has a long-standing connection with Britain. For more than 30 years, men have left Mirpur to find work in Britain, their aim to earn money to build a better future for their families. Many, like Tahir Akram, found jobs in northern industrial towns, like Oldham.
I came in 1967. I mean, we came empty-handed to this country. We didn't have no money at all. And always been working in the mill.
Tahir Akram realised his dream. He now runs his own small business.
We work hard for the money. Everybody got the same opportunity in England. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Not see long time.
The Akrams settled in Oldham, in the traditional immigrant district of Glodwick. They bought a house on the main road, Waterloo Street. Glodwick is a close-knit and friendly community, predominantly Asian. The Mirpur connection touches every street. The Akram family settled happily in Glodwick.
We are very loyal to England. I just feel like this is my home country. It's a good opportunity for my children.
The Akrams had high hopes for their children, including their eldest son, Tahir.
He was so little bright lad, and that was my hope. You know, I was planning so many things.
But on July the 26th, 1989, at the age of 14, Tahir was inexplicably murdered.
The day he got killed, I was on the same street as him. We talked and then he went down and I went to the shop and he got killed. And this boy came running into the shop and goes, Tahir just had an accident. I just stood there and never knew what to do, so I came outside and it was on the floor and all blood everywhere.
At first, I heard he's been in an accident. He's been knocked over by a car, so I didn't take it that seriously. Right, but then I found out he's been shot in the head and he's on the way to hospital. Right, so I ran down Waterloo Street.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe that it actually happened. You know, somebody told me that, but I just laughed and goes, "Don't be stupid." You know, I've just seen him about 15 minutes ago.
Everyone was angry, and they all said it's a racist attack, but no one knew if it was or if it wasn't. No one knew if it really was, but everyone believed it was a racist attack.
July the 25th, 1989, and a silver Ford Sierra was stolen from the Lonsdale Road car park in Blackpool. The theft went unnoticed. In the boot of the car, a high-powered military-style Jackal .22 air rifle with a telescopic sight. Its owner kept the gun for shooting rabbits. With music blaring, the stolen car headed out of Blackpool for the M6 and Manchester. 14-year-old Tahir Akram was the second of 6 children. Born in Pakistan, he lived most of his life in Oldham. His friends were mainly boys of Asian origin who lived in and around Glodwick. Like them, he loved football and cars.
Well, he always used to say, "Oh, when I grow up, my dad might buy me a nice car like Mercedes." And he drove in the street once, and he was really happy. And he used to like doing a bit of weight training. But he never changed. He didn't go big or anything like that. He was, just thin and like I knew him.
We used to mess around, but like in our religion, we're not supposed to mess around with boys. But he was my cousin. He was so close to me as well. So we did it. We used to do everything, and his dad used to give us money if we sat down for 5 minutes in silence, because we used to make a load of noise.
Until the age of 12, like most of the children in Glodwick, Tahir went to the mosque each night after school. Here he learnt Urdu and studied the Quran. He went to Breeze Hill Comprehensive in Oldham, where 1 in 4 pupils are of Asian origin. Tahir wasn't very academic, but his teachers said he tried his best. And his parents organised extra lessons for him after school. Among his old school books, his sister Safina found an essay he wrote 2 months before his death.
The essay is about his own self. He's written here, "I go to Breeze Hill Comprehensive School. It's a very big school. I enjoy going to school. It is a senior school. I am in Mr. Tipper's farm. My favourite subjects are maths, English, German, physics and art, even though I am not good in drawing. My favourite teacher is Mr. Tipper and Mr. Brown, the headmaster. They are very pleased with me. My ambition is to be an electrician."
Lunchtime on July the 26th, and the gun from the stolen car was tried out in the backyard of a house in Ashton, near Manchester. One of the men handling the gun, 19-year-old Stephen Lamb. The house belonged to his friend Joanne Cooper.
He liked the gun. I never touched the gun, so I couldn't say what it were like. He just seemed to just want to fire it at the gate. It was my gate that he fired it at. Anyway, I stopped him all firing it because of the noise of the air rifle. I was worried about my neighbours. And they're only old people, my neighbours, so I thought that he shouldn't do it here.
Lamb was unemployed and lived with his parents on the outskirts of Ashton. He'd just been released from youth custody after serving a sentence for burglary. In his mother's words,
"Stephen is no stranger to trouble. He seems to have spent most of his life running after it. When he was an infant, they didn't seem to have labels like they do today. Probably the nearest tag Stephen would come under would be hyperactive. A very bright child, but always classed as disruptive."
He's the type of lad that his mum would give him anything he wants, but he's not that type to go and ask her, because to him it's like begging. But he's not like that. He'd rather go out and, do a burglary than take it off his mum, because that's the type of lad he is.
According to his mother,
Stephen had discovered a love for drawing and wanted to do more than just sketch, and had planned to start a course at art college.
but on July the 26th, Stephen Lamb was trying out the air rifle, first on Joanne's garden gate, and then in a nearby field. Tahir spent the day at Breeze Hill School, where he'd begun to attend regularly after one of his teachers had spotted him playing truant.
I saw him sitting on someone else's doorstep, completely lost. And I was very, very upset to see him sitting like this, as if nobody wanted him. And I thought, no, I've got to work on this pupil. And I asked him to sit in my car and a long chat with him. And I said, look, I'm going to help you. You're coming back to Breeze Hill School. I'm going to be a good pupil at Breeze Hill School.
Well, he hadn't been at the school a terribly long time. And during that time, he had had some problems with coming to terms with learning. Towards the end of his time here, he was the sort of pupil who had turned round completely. He was very keen, he was very motivated. He seemed much happier in himself. And in fact, on the day of the week he was killed, he actually came to see me to show me the new school uniform he'd brought and he was wearing, and said that he thought he was going to make a go of it now, and he'd talked through with his family and his teachers, and that he felt that he actually belonged and was going somewhere.
The very next day he came back to school with brand new uniform. But unfortunately, he was murdered just a couple of days after. And that's something that I've got to live with.
After school on July the 26th, Tahir first went to his cousin's house, also in Waterloo Street. He watched some television, including Neighbours.
So put the people who don't have it down. Yeah?
At 5:30, after closing his shop, Tahir's father headed for Glodwick to watch volleyball at the local community centre. Meanwhile, Tahir had returned home to find his mother and sister making the dinner. At around 6:15, the stolen Ford Sierra made its first trip to Glodwick. In it was 19-year-old Peter Wright, who wanted to buy some drugs. But the drugs deal went wrong. Outside these shops on the edge of Glodwick, Wright paid £5 to a black youth for some LSD, but the drugs dealer took the money and disappeared. Half an hour later, back in Ashton at Joanne Cooper's house, Wright told his friends he'd been ripped off. They decided on revenge.
We all decided that we'd get the gun and go up there and learn him a lesson.
Stephen Lamb would bring the air rifle. Peter Wright was asked to give directions and look out for the drugs dealer. At first reluctant, he was persuaded to join in. A third man, Mark Hume, would drive the stolen car.
So we drove up to Glodwick. I know it's in Oldham, that's all I know. I've never been before. Then, as we got to Broad Oak Road, Stephen Lamb put the gun out the window and shot. I didn't see who was shot at or where he shot. All I heard was the bang of the air rifle.
The first random shot, not at any drugs dealer, not yet in Glodwick. In Glodwick itself, it was the end of a quiet summer's day. The white youths in the car were still looking for the shopping precinct and the drugs dealer.
Well, Mike were driving that car so quick that we missed the shops and we had to take the next turning. Well, that was on the left-hand side. And there was two, coloured guys walking down on the left-hand side. And one of the people in the front said, "He'll do."
And as I looked towards the car, the guy in the back was pointing a gun at me. And as I looked again, he fired the gun. And it hit me in my shoulder. Then the car drove to the end of the road and went up Waterloo Street.
He didn't expect it. His face was so... It was really hilarious. It was so unbelievable how we were all laughing at it. I mean, I've never seen anybody... He was so shocked. I mean, that's all they went up for, just to, shake him.
After the second shot, the car drove up Waterloo Street. Tahir had just left home with his younger brother Kumar to meet his father. It was 7:15 p.m.
By that time, we're seeing this little, what I'd say was a little Paki family, and they was walking on the right-hand side of the road. The next thing we knew was another shot was fired, and Stephen was saying, the little boy had fell, but we were still laughing at the face on the coloured boys.
14-year-old Tahir Akram lay bleeding in Waterloo Street, just 20 yards from his front door. None of his friends or relatives realised how he'd been injured, because no one had witnessed the shooting.
I was actually on the street at the time it happened, and initially myself and other people thought it was a hit and run, so we came running down Waterloo Street toward where the incident took place. And when I looked at Tahir and saw the amount of blood that he was losing, we immediately tried to get him to hospital as quickly as possible.
There was a knock on the door, and there was a boy there, and he goes, "Your brother's had an accident." And then I go, "Oh, don't tell lies and everything." And then he goes, "Your brother's had an accident." I go, "Which one?" He goes, "Your brother." Then I thought, I think it's Kumar, and what am I going to do now? And then I just run out like that, and then saw Tahir lying on the street with all the blood coming out of his mouth. And all the street was packed with people.
When I asked the sergeant whether Tahir had actually been shot or not, whether the rumour were true, and he got quite upset by saying that, "Look, will you stop spreading these rumours that Tahir had not been shot? There is no evidence of the fact that he's been shot. As far as we're concerned, it's an accident, and we're treating it as such."
The police were just saying, well, he twisted his neck, which is impossible. And then they were saying, well, it was this and it was that. It was just excuses. The community leaders, our community leaders, wouldn't tell us anything. So obviously all the youngsters are angry. Everybody wanted some sort of revenge, or, they wanted to take their anger up on somebody.
On that day, it could have been anyone else. It was just any black they went for. He was innocent, he's done nothing wrong. He's just walking up street with his little brother, gets shot.
Tahir was taken to the Royal Oldham Hospital. 20 minutes later, he was certified dead.
Suddenly then people came back from the hospital, and they started moving these cities, and everybody started coming in, and I said, "Well, if he's all right, why is everybody else coming in and everything?" They said, "They're just coming, they're just coming and everything." And then they brought my mum in, and she was crying, and then I found out that he's died.
Well, Mark put his foot on the accelerator that quick. We were home within 5 minutes from Oldham.
Unaware that Tahir had died, Stephen Lamb allegedly boasted, "I shot the black bastard. I shot his head off. Did you see his legs wobble?"
We didn't know, that he'd hit the little Paki boy. We didn't know that Stephen had said that he'd fell, or his legs had wobbled or something. But we were just laughing at the coloured lad's face. We weren't really interested in the little Paki boy.
Back in Waterloo Street, a crowd had gathered. The police were insisting that Tahir's killing was not racist.
Everybody kept cool, nobody did nothing, until an English person came into our area with a couple of the lads. Asked us what was happening, and when we said to them that, you know, an Asian lad has been shot, he turned around and he said, well, at least one down, 5 minutes ago. The
crowd turned on him and he ran into this house. And the feeling of the crowd was, let's set the house on fire, because they were so angry, so it's such an insensitive thing to say at the time. Now, he ran away and the police reaction was, rather than to get him out of the area or get him to come back and apologise, they started pushing the Asian crowd which gathered there and saying, look, if you lot don't disperse, we'll start arresting you.
And the police were saying, you're causing obstruction, move on. And we weren't causing obstruction because we were on the grass, not on the road. And 2 or 3 guys got hit by truncheons in the faces saying, what are you looking at? No, you causing trouble. Well, come on then, try me out now. And they were just giving us pure abuse, you know what I mean?
We asked Oldham police to give their version of events on the night of Tahir's murder, but they declined to do so. They insisted, however, that it was not a racist attack.
So we had a situation where the police were denying the possible racial motives for the attack, were denying that there could have been a shooting, but were unable to come up with any real reason for the lad having died and having spilled so much blood on the street, which was there for everybody to see. So we had a mismatch between the police picture of it, which they were treating very formally as a murder inquiry, and the community view, which there had been a shooting, there had been an attack on a young Asian lad, and the police didn't understand their feelings.
By the end of the day, the Glodwick youths had had enough.
30 of us, we lost complete patience. We lost everything with the police, all communication, everything. They don't want to release any information on how he died, who killed him, anything like that. No, we just went on the rampage, causing trouble around the white areas that surround Glodwick.
The racist areas.
Racist areas, especially.
Meanwhile in Ashton, Stephen Lamb and his friends, still unaware that Tahir had died, had decided to go out for more fun. Around midnight, Lamb took potshots at 2 more men, one Asian, the other white. Only the white man was injured. The youths then tried unsuccessfully to burgle a house, before finally returning to Joanne Cooper's.
GMR News from the BBC.
At 8 o'clock, Ros Kay reporting. Mystery surrounds the death of an Asian teenager in Oldham last night. The youth was found in Waterloo Street at Glodwick at just after 7 o'clock. Police say they're following a number of lines of inquiry, but are refusing to give out any more details at the moment.
It was only when the Ashton youths heard the radio that they realised Tahir was dead.
I was frightened. We were all frightened. I've got to speak for us all here. We were all petrified. I mean, it come to that stage when I was saying, please get the car away from my house. I didn't want it near. I didn't want them in my house. So we were all frightened. Stephen Lamb were frightened. He said it's only a packy anyway. That's what he did say. He did say that, but he said that because he was so frightened. He had to put a big image on in front of us all.
2 days later, the police arrived at Joanne's house. They'd found the stolen Ford Sierra and linked it to Tahir's death. Joanne told them she'd gone in the car for a laugh.
I really didn't think he'd shoot at anybody. Afterwards, I thought, oh, it might just bruise them. But at the time, I didn't really think about it. I didn't think it'd hurt anybody. I mean, it was only an air rifle. I don't know. I don't know the power of the gun, but to me, an air rifle, it's just not a killable gun.
At Joanne's house, the police also found Peter Wright, who told them the full story and was arrested. He blamed Stephen Lamb. According to Wright, it was Lamb who, unable to find the drugs dealer, had decided to take pot shots at innocent passers-by. 2 days later, Lamb was arrested and charged with murder. Soon after, Mark Hume, the third man, was also arrested and charged with murder. A post-mortem on Tahir confirmed for the first time the cause of death: traumatic hemorrhage. The airgun pellet had punctured his eyelid and hit a group of major blood vessels. Only now was Tahir's body finally released for his funeral.
We used to all sit together and talk. It's like we used to go out, often together, all the family and things. But we don't anymore, because we don't feel like going out anymore. One person goes missing out of the family. You don't feel like doing the same thing or anything. Don't feel the same way, living or anything. It's not the same.
And how has it affected your mum?
Well, it's affected her very badly, it's all inside her. She won't say anything. She's always, crying and everything. And, it's not all the same when you're all sitting together. She's always saying, oh, there's where he used to sit and everything.
अपनी अपनी रोजी कमाने वास्ते आए होंगे ये तो नहीं ना भाई मौत खरीदने था इस
Tahir's younger brothers and sisters cannot understand what has happened.
They still think he's in Pakistan. And they keep on telling me dad to take him back to Pakistan. They want to see him and everything. When they brought the body home, they won't believe it was him. They said it wasn't him.
Everywhere I go, my son used to be with me, Tahir. Therefore, I don't feel like going, to friends because I miss him a lot. All the time he used to be with me. So everywhere I go, it, brings me his memories back. And that's why everybody think I'm a bit changed. But I'm not really changed. But these things are making me change. I don't know how to explain, how to express what my feeling is. Tahir used to work there with me in the shop. And I don't feel staying there in the shop for even a single minute. Whenever I go out, he used to go out with me to see my friends, or, he always with me. So, I can't explain you. Everywhere I go, I miss him a lot.
November 1989, 4 months after Tahir's death, and the Akram family's ordeal continues. The 3 men charged with his murder are remanded in custody to await their trial at Manchester Crown Court. All 3 plead not guilty. months have now passed since Tahir's killing, and the murder trial is still to come. Akram has returned to Pakistan to visit the rest of his family. He is disillusioned with Britain and thinking of settling permanently in Pakistan. His first stop is the home of his parents-in-law. For Akram's young daughter Saria, it's her first trip to Pakistan since she was a baby.
Last time I came with his body, and this time I came empty-handed. For that reason, it reminds us that time, and everybody start crying and things like this. I can't really explain you what's my feeling inside for my son, what's missing, what it's like, because we people depend on the children a lot, because in old days we look after our parents, and we expect our children to look after us when we're old. But if the people start taking the kids away like this, you can't express your feeling, what's your feeling inside. When I'm here, it's just I feel like that the Prime Minister of the country, everybody's coming to see you. The people get a feeling for each other, they love each other. That's the best part in your life. That's all you want in your life, don't you? So that's what I like here.
On the outskirts of Akram's home village is Tahir's grave. Near the grave is the small farm of Tahir's grandparents, where he came to stay twice when he visited Pakistan. One of the visitors today is the girl who would have been Tahir's bride by an arranged marriage, his cousin Rifat.
बस बर्दाश्त करने हैं पे और क्या क्या हो सके बर्दाश्त करने हैं ये वे लिसा नहीं ये रोनी है बस रोई तो फिर चुपी फिर बर्दाश्त करने हैं वे होना असा कि बच्चा लवना तो नहीं ना फिर वक्त गुजारने हैं पे और क्या हो सकना
यानी इससे पहले तकरीबन हर आदमी की ख्वाहिश थी कि इंग्लैंड जो है ये ज़रूर जाना चाहिए। एक तो वहाँ लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं, इससे है कि वहाँ का इंग्लैंड का ये था कि वहाँ की करेंसी के मुताबिक पैसा ये सब मिलता है। अच्छा, वहाँ के लोगों का रहने का माहौल भी अच्छा था और अच्छे वक्त गुजारे उन लोगों के साथ, और वो लोग वाकई इंसाफ पसंद थे। तो पैदल पे ये लफ्ज़ था कि यहाँ पर अब हमारा जीना मुश्किल हो गया है, क्योंकि इन लोगों में काफ़ी कुछ तब्दीलियाँ आ रही हैं। लेकिन बाज़ औक़ात इसी तरह है जैसे कि इस मुल्क में भी लड़ाइयाँ होती हैं।
After a few days in Pakistan, Akram is beginning to relax and to put some of the bad memories to the back of his mind.
It's lovely, nice to be back at home. I've met my mother, my sisters and brothers, all the rest of the family. And I do miss my kids back in England. Also, I miss England as well, but I'm sharing two countries. That's unfortunate. But I'm very happy. And it's very nice to be at home.
But back in England, a riot at Strangeways prison. 3 of the prisoners on remand here are the youths charged with Tahir's murder. Day 3, and a bizarre spectacle. At the centre of the mock hanging is Peter Wright. As Glodwick waited for the trial of Tahir's killers, race relations deteriorated. But even before his death, the situation had been worsening. White and Asian youths clashed in May last year when white football fans came into Glodwick one Saturday night.
They were halfway down Waterloo Street, and me and my dad were just coming back from cousins, and they started attacking my dad. So obviously I had to get involved. I got involved, my brothers came out of our house and they got involved in it. The police lost control. And look, I mean, I count myself as being really lucky that we weren't seriously injured or even killed. There was too many of them. They had all sorts of little weapons on them and everything. And they were chanting, kill the Pakis and this and the other.
They were throwing bricks, bottles at us, smashing windows, just causing hell in our area. So the police weren't doing anything about it. We thought, well, if you don't do anything about it, we will. So what happened was they went around another block. We did exactly the same. And there were 60 of them, there was 30 of us. We just started fighting.
Asian gangs as well as white gangs are now a fact of life in Oldham. At Breeze Hill, where Tahir was a pupil, racism is recognised and challenged.
OK, 5th years, just have everybody's attention again, please. Now then, looking at these statements, somebody's put mixed schools encourage racism. Could you just explain what you mean by it?
It's getting racist in the school.
In what way?
More people, more racist fights.
When it's blacks fighting whites, it's always like it's 3-on-1. You know, people tend to join in, and it ends up in a massive fight. And
Why do you think then that black and Asian people fight in a larger group?
they stick together because before they were always being called, always being bullied. Now they stick together and finally don't get bullied because they're in groups. Sort of thing.
Do you want to say something there? You seem to be nodding your head.
Yeah, we stick together now. Like we used to, if we're going out all, we used to get beaten up. So if we stick together, nothing happens then. They don't pick on us.
Have you made a conscious effort then to stick together?
Yeah, we stick together now in big groups.
When did this happen? Is it recently?
Last couple of years. There weren't many blacks in his school then. Now there are. We stick together.
They feel more confident because they're mixing with themselves and it's not right. They should be going out and talking to other people. And then it's not just whites against blacks now, it's blacks being racist towards whites.
Do you think we're going to move away from that? Do you think?
Hopefully, but you can't tell, can you?
Do you think it'll be a very long-term thing?
Yeah, it will.
I think one of the problems that schools face is that schools actually tackle something head-on. But the point is, schools really are a product of the community. Children don't get off the bus and walk into school every morning with a sort of completely blank mind and sense of attitude that in some way you fill. They bring with them all the baggage that they have from home and for the community. So any sort of resentment or prejudice comes in with them. We only have a limited amount of time to work with pupils and try and work through these things. Schools can't work in isolation.
As Glodwick prepared for the trial of Tahir's killers, the police view that it was not a racist attack was strongly disputed.
I think there's no doubt whatsoever that this was a racially motivated attack. People coming into the area in deliberate attempt to shoot at black people, as far as I'm concerned, is racially motivated, and it was a racist murder.
Obviously, they're going to feel like, yeah, because, like, Stephen did shoot. Well, at the time, we didn't know that Glodwick is full of coloured people. Obviously, if you go up there to Glodwick, that's what they're going up there for. But we didn't know that. He just isn't like that. He knows a lot of coloured friends. He's known them years. I mean, he's just not like that. I mean, when he was in prison and he got sentenced for a burglary charge, he was padded up in his cell with a packer. And he's so close with him now, they write to each other. Even now, he's not. No way, not on this earth.
Mark Hume and Peter Wright also had friends who were black. Salam, not his real name, knew the two at school and says they were racist.
They used to beat up Asian people in the schools for the fun of it, steal their pocket money off them, or play silly games like Catch the Nigger, where I was actually the nigger, and they'd give me something like a few seconds to run, and they'd come after me with dogs or sticks, and if they caught me, they'd beat me up. I actually had a lot of fights in school. I lost quite a lot of them, and I won quite a few of them. And they thought, this guy is a bit of a nutter. He sticks up for himself. He's not an easy victim. Why fight with him? Why don't we become friends with him? It'll be easier for us.
Salam did become friends with Hume and Wright. They found their fun in Stamford Park in Ashton.
It was a sort of a place to smoke drugs, tipping other people's boats and chucking them in the lakes, throwing bricks at the ducks and watching them fall. And they used to enjoy it. They used to laugh about it. I thought the only way to let people know is by coming forward and telling them that you knew these people. And it meant a big thing to me, because it meant I'm losing some friends, but at the other hand, it meant that they killed as well. So what sort of friends do you want who are killers?
The murder trial began this June. The central issue: did the three men intend either to kill Tahir or to cause him serious injury? One of the prosecution witnesses was Joanne Cooper.
Oh, if I'd have known anything like that would have happened, I wouldn't have gone. I mean, and I don't think Stephen Lamb would have shot that gun if he'd have thought that he would have killed someone, because he's just not that type of lad. But it happened, and it was a big mistake.
But the evidence was against Lamb. The weapon was high-powered, and he aimed not at arms or legs, but at faces. Peter Wright, the reluctant participant, acquitted of murder and manslaughter. Mark Hume, the driver of the car, guilty of manslaughter, 7 years in prison. Stephen Lamb, guilty of murder, life imprisonment. The judge told him, "You were content to fire at innocent, preferably black people."
He's not like that. He's a totally different lad, if you really knew him like I know him. I mean, I've known him 5 years and he's absolutely brilliant. You couldn't wish for a better son in the world. I mean, his mother and father, although he's doing time now for what he's done, must love him because he is a good lad. He's got an heart of gold.
Lamb's mother.
Everyone has been happy to portray Stephen as some kind of animal. He is not. In fact, he can be more sensitive and caring than most.
But the judge also revealed Lamb's criminal record, a string of convictions, including one for wounding a youth with an air rifle. He'd been on the wrong side of the law since the age of 13. In Glodwick, after a difficult summer, the verdicts have helped to calm the community.
Well, the reaction is one of relief, first of all, that it's all over for the family. There is some anger or anxiety in the air that the fact only one person was committed for murder. The rest were given very light sentences. And we feel that they were all involved in this incident and they should all have been treated equally, in fact, all found guilty of murder.
I will never get my son back for any price. But at least I do feel a bit safer now with the court decision that might be somebody else thinking to do such a thing again. They might think twice to do such a thing, so at least I feel a bit safer now and I feel better.
But the evidence heard in court has confirmed the view held in Glodwick that Tahir's killing was racist.
We know that afterwards they were commenting, "I got the black bastard." They were making comments when they'd heard that the young Tahir Akram had died, "Oh, he was only a Paki," as though somehow that was different from being any other type of human being, somehow disposable. I think it's a very sad comment on them and very tragic for Tahir and his family. But clearly it was motivated by an underlying feeling of antagonism towards people of different race. I think that was clear from the evidence at the trial.
Mohammed Akram also believes that Tahir was shot because he was Asian. He cannot forget the words Lamb is alleged to have said. "I shot the black bastard. I shot his head off. Did you see his legs wobble?"
They have killed innocent lad, and the language they've been using afterward, and it was terrible. It was very hard for me. I only sat in there for 2 or 3 days. I couldn't manage to sit and listen what they've been saying. You know, like I was just feeling like somebody's walking with a gun and they're pointing at my son, you know, so it was terrible.
For the people of Glodwick, there remains a fear that there will be more attacks. But having survived a traumatic year, there's also a feeling that race relations can improve.
It's a marvellous, vibrant, lively community that pulls together and works together in quite a traditional British way, I think, and I'm not surprised that they've bounced back. It was a terrible incident, but I think we shouldn't kid ourselves that incidents which have been occurring similar to this in terms of attacks in Glodwick for the last 15 years won't go on occurring, and I think they know that.
Well, to be honest, it's all dark for me now. I can't find the way out, but I'm trying my best to be normal as I was.
And I really am sorry for what has happened, but there's nothing I can do to change what has happened. If there was things I could do to change it, I would. I can imagine how they feel. They must be going through hell.
It's something that's squeezing my heart, you know, all the time, that I'm not free. I miss him a lot. I loved him so much, you know, that I can't really forget him.
Tahir Akram murdered at the age of 14. His family have told us that for the time being they mean to stay in Britain, but they can draw little comfort from this latest report on race relations in Oldham. It claims that at the time of the murder, the police promised better protection for ethnic minorities. 1 year later, says the report, nothing has been done. That's all for this month. We'll be back in October. Until then, good night.